40% of the total energy used in your arenas comes from the refrigeration system alone. By 2032, energy costs are projected to rise by 68%. And by the way, guys, 82% of these systems out there today are operating inefficiently. So you've got these buildings that are huge energy users. You've got refrigeration plants that are using the big chunk of that energy. You've got energy costs that are rising and systems that aren't operating as efficiently as they could be. If we took collectively all of these smaller single pad, non-year-round facilities in Ontario, added them all together, the energy cost to operate those facilities just for the year 2014 would have been nearly $16 million. That's a big number. What's even scarier than that, if we take that projection, that 68% projected energy rise by 2032, that $16 million grows to $26.7 million. Very scary number. So we've got these refrigeration systems using 40% of your total building's power consumption. We've got energy costs rising 68%. And we've got the vast majority of facilities out there not operating as efficiently as they could. That's a pretty big problem. But if that wasn't enough, let's heap on some municipal, some provincial, and some federal mandates to start cutting or reducing your energy consumption. And that problem becomes even bigger. But we have a solution to part of this problem for sure, and that's the CIMCO Seasonal Controller. To sort of understand how we got to where we are with this product, I think we need to back things up. We'll go all the way back to the beginning. And by the beginning, I mean early 70s when everybody was getting Winterio money or other incentive money to build an artificial indoor ice surface for the municipality. You probably had a guy like this drive into town. And you probably would have rolled up in a car like this. And he would have sold you a refrigeration system that probably looked identical to this. This is as basic as a system can get. You've got an ammonia to brine heat exchanger, one evaporative condenser, one brine pump, 2 compressors. Your only real option in this system was if you're going to start up a couple weeks earlier, maybe you would have gone with the two 6-cylinder compressors driven by 50-horse motors. Or if you're going a little bit later in the year, you might have gone with a 6-cylinder and a 4-cylinder compressor driven by a 50 and a 30 horsepower motor. Not a lot to pick from. There was no controls at all to speak of available back then for these systems. So very, very basic. It worked. It made a concrete slab cold that you could put water down, it would freeze, and people could skate on it. But there wasn't a lot going on in the system itself. Now, why would this guy roll into town and sell you good people a very basic system that didn't do an awful lot? The reason that he probably would have done this is that's all you really needed. Energy costs, minimal, an afterthought. They didn't really matter. They're inconsequential. Water was free. You turned on the tap, water flowed. You didn't give it a second thought. And the computers of the day, they're very expensive, very bulky, very limited in power. It wouldn't have done a lot for you. The payback on a control system in 1970, if it existed, would have been terrible. But that's the past. Where we're at today, totally different story. We've got energy costs have risen from 1970 when the building was new to today, and we saw that projection by 2032 is going to continue to rise. Water, which was free and abundant, is now becoming more and more scarce, fresh water. The cost for that has gone up. You pay for it coming into your building. You pay a sewer cost to get rid of the water as well. So that's getting bigger. The good news in this story, though, is the control system. The price of computers and control systems has sort of dropped, and the power of the computers has grown immensely. So if you put all this together, your rising energy costs, your rising water costs, the access to getting a control system at an effective price, you mix them all together and throw in some incentive money, which exists nowadays, to put in these efficient control systems. It's a perfect opportunity for our product, that CIMCO Seasonal Controller. I'll turn things over to Brad now. He's going to sort of walk us through what the controller looks like, feels like, and how it operates.
Thanks, Justin. So let's take a look at what the seasonal controller looks like in the refrigeration room. As you can see, it's a 2-foot by 3-foot compact panel. It's got Delta boards inside, nicely wired in our Toronto manufacturing plant. And it's all equipped with a control system with a 10-inch touchscreen. So as you can see here, this is the home screen. So while your system's running, this is what your home screen looks like. It has your ice temperature. It has your current set point. It has your discharge pressure. It has your equipment run status. So in this sequence, all the equipment is running. Everything is in green. It has your outside temperature, your outside humidity, and your compressor run status. So this is a basic system. It has your two compressors, your condenser. And what I want to illustrate here is you can retrofit any system with a seasonal controller. Yeah, you have a seasonal panel down below. You have your VFT, which is going to be located right beside your panel. You have to put a discharge pressure transducer in. And you have to put an outside temperature air sensor in. And what this allows your system to do is operate based on outside conditions. So you're going to get a reading from the outside temperature, and it's going to find the optimal condensing point to operate your system. So what is floating head pressure? Well, floating head pressure is condensing at the lowest temperature possible by constantly reading and reacting to the outdoor temperature and humidity. So basically what we've done is we've taken your system, we've taken out the existing control system, and we've added a brain. A brain that's now going to tell your system to operate based on outside temperature versus the design. And ultimately, by lowering the condensing temperature, you're going to decrease energy. So maybe take another look at it. I don't know if you've been on a bike lately, but if you haven't. Riding a single-speed bike, you're going down the road, you run into a hill. As you pedal up that hill, it gets harder. So let's look at this as another example. The person is the compressor motor. The bike is the compressor. The hill is temperature. As your temperature rises, your compressor runs a lot harder and more inefficiently. So what I want to illustrate here is as you get to your hottest point and then temperature starts to decrease, so your compressors now can run more efficiently, nothing is telling it to run more efficiently. Now, this is where a CIMCO Seasonal Controller comes into effect. We are now giving your system a control system that can allow it to run on outside temperature and decrease the amp draw on your compressors. So here's your system, 1970. This is how they designed it for the hottest day of the year. Well, wait a minute. We don't need to run in the hottest day of the year. So let's say you start up in August and you run till March. The design condition is pretend the red line is your single-speed bike. Now what we've done is we've given a bike with gears. Okay? So all of this is wasted energy. So now we're giving your system some gears to operate so that it's going to be picking the set point every minute of every day on the lowest possible condensing temperature. So I want to look at an example. Steve Dossett is here today. Thanks for coming, Steve. Steve is the manager here at the Tri-Township Arena. So this is basically a 1970 arena. It's got your two 50-horsepower compressors. It's got one shell and tube chiller. It's got an evap condenser, a 25-horsepower brine pump, an electrical panel, one condenser water pump and tank, and a glycol head cooling loop. So to illustrate our controller in action, what we've done is we actually took a video on site of our controller working. And what I wanted to illustrate is how easy it is to use. And it sends out alarms. It does trending. It does scheduling, night setback. But also, the one thing I want you to focus on is when you're operating with floating head pressure and without. And you're going to see the difference when the head pressure goes up, what that does to the amp draw on the motors. So as your head pressure goes up, your amp draw goes up and costing you more money to run. So now we're going to play this video for you.
Hi, I'm Brad Wilkens, account manager for CIMCO Refrigeration. We're here at the Mount Bridges Arena, and today we're going to talk about the Seasonal Plus controller. I brought with me today our mechanic, Jason Hill.
Hi, I'm Jason from CIMCO Refrigeration London, and we're going to show you the effectiveness of the floating head pressure and Seasonal Plus controller today.
Okay, here we are, and here's the CIMCO Seasonal Plus controller manufactured by CIMCO Refrigeration in 2014. I'm going to get Jason Hill to talk about the home screen and what everything does on the home screen.
So here's the home screen. Obviously, we have our, in this case, we're using slab temperature, but you do have the option for IRC, infrared camera. Our current set point is 19. We are calling right now. Here's our discharge pressure, outside air temperature and humidity, and your alarm status and equipment run status. All right, and you've got today's date, the time. When you log in as the operator, you get pretty much full access of all your indication of what's running, what's not. If an alarm pops up, current temperature, very user-friendly. We have the controller here. This is our main screen, so all your information is on here. We're going to go to ring control so we can change our set points if need be. We have our occupancy and unoccupied schedule here.
So that's night setback, Jay?
Yes, night setback. Before here in this particular plant, we used the Honeywell T775, the old style, and all you had was temperature and your differential. That was it, right? So now we have the new style Honeywell as a backup, but we're using the Seasonal Plus, which has way more.
So if you were to set point, like what do they do? If I want to change my set point from 19 to 20, how would I do that?
So it's very easy. Obviously, we're on slab sensor, so you just put whatever you want to put in here, right? So we're going to keep it at 19 for now.
And then, okay.
And then you're unoccupied, change it to whatever. Very simple. So, and if beginning of the season here, you can go to return temperature, just so you're not on slab temperature, because you may or may not get alarms, depending on how it's set up in here. But again, here's our status. It would say cooling right now. As soon as I disable our air, that's what we have to make up to get to 19, because our slab's at 22.8. So that's our set point air. If we go into backup mode, it will say backup mode here. Any alarms that come up, it'll say right here under system normal.
What kind of alarms would you get?
Well, let's go to the alarm screen. So we're monitoring anything off the compressor, so all my safeties are being monitored, and it'll just come up as compressor 1 or compressor 2 alarm, or both. We're monitoring the main pump. We don't have a standby pump here. This is an option. We've got condenser pump, condenser fan, high liquid level, obviously, emergency stop, and there is a battery in here for backup in case we lose power. We are monitoring right now because in this particular place we have an auto dialer. So we're remotely monitoring high ice temperature and power loss.
So when they get those alarms, what happens?
They'll get dialed out. Customer will get a phone call telling them that they're high ice temperature or there's a power outage. Right? If I want to activate any compressor alarms, just simply push remote. Now it's going to dial out compressor alarms.
So he didn't want to get notified of all of those alarms. He wanted to be notified of the major ones.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, realistically, if you have a compressor alarm or a compressor issue, pump issue, your ice temperature is going to go up. That's up to the customer, but easily added to your convenience. You know, we can customize it to however you want it. So we also have the compressor screen here. You can enable, disable compressors, cold days. During the day, you don't want a compressor to run. Simply disable it.
So then
instead of going to, sorry, go ahead.
So then you're only operating off one compressor versus two. And then they have the lead lag and unoccupied.
Yep. That's your minutes between starts. Okay. So instead of going to your panel over there, handoff auto switch, the old style way, turning it off. I don't need a compressor running today, it's too cold out. You can just do it from here. That way you won't get alarms and whatnot, right? We can go to our condenser screen. Our floating head pressure in this particular place is set for 130. We have our outside air set to come in 36 degrees for fan first operation. This basically takes over from your reverse acting head pressure controls, right? So, very nice. We go to trending, and we're trending three things here. Discharge pressure, and we also are looking at return and slab. And you can go back within 2-hour intervals all the way back to starting it up, basically. But
they keep a log of that.
Yeah, it's nice to see for us on the service side, if there's any issues, you can go back to your discharge and see, okay, what happened, you know, with my fan and why didn't it start and how high did my pressure get. Return slab as well. We can look at all that. So, all right, now we're going to show you the steps to reset an alarm with the Seasonal Plus controller. So we're going to simulate an alarm today, and it's going to get loud, but this is our new panel here on the MCC. All right, so we have a DDC alarm, and it went off on high liquid level. So I'm going to silence that, and automatically it would have sent a call out to the customer on the auto dialer. And he would have got on the other end of that recording that said your plant is off on high liquid level. So we've got an ammonia level in the chiller that's critical. This particular alarm would have killed the whole plant. So we've reset it from the panel here, make sure we're good. Then we go over to our DDC controller. We had a high liquid level alarm. We can silence it. And then we reset it. And that's it. Okay, so now we're going to demonstrate the effectiveness of floating head pressure. So we're going to start first with backup mode, or your original system right now as it runs, right? The old style. So off the reverse acting head pressure controls for your pump and fans based on head pressure. Your pump and fan will turn on and turn off. Short cycle, cold weather, we're going to show you all that. So we're going to be going to backup mode with the Honeywell, and we're going to use the digital screen. We do have analog as well, but a little bit more easier to see it digitally. The discharge pressure. When we operate the old way, normally we're operating around 170 to 180, and our head pressure is fine operating there, but you're going to see the amperage, how the effectiveness on the compressor works with amperage with higher head pressure. And then we'll show you another way running, obviously, the floating head pressure style, where your amperage is going to be much lower, your head pressure is lower, and you're obviously saving a lot of money and hours, which we'll show even later. Alright, so that was backup mode. Now we're going to show you the sequence in the exact same order in DDC mode, so direct digital control with the seasonal controller. So we're going to go to DDC mode. Again, very simple, user-friendly. And we're back at our seasonal controller. And the plant is going to start up shortly, and we're going to demonstrate the same thing, floating head pressure. Okay, so there's our two examples. Now I'm going to show you in the trending screen as an operator, supervisor, or be it a service mechanic, how the difference is between the backup or the old conventional way to the new control with floating head pressure. So we're back at our main screen here, the Seasonal Plus controller, floating head pressure. I'm going to log in as an operator right now. So here's our main screen, logging in, operator. And as an operator, it's monitor only. You can't change any set points again, but this is my main screen. I can go to trending, and then we can see. So here is our window when we are operating on the conventional backup mode with reverse acting head pressure. You can see the discharge pressure, which is our purple, spiking, coming down, spiking, coming down, spiking, coming down. It's right there. So a lot of short cycling, pumps, fans, hard on the bearings, hard on belts. You're looking at colder weather, even more short cycling. And then you got to go back and set those controls again to stop from freezing the condenser. A whole lot of back and forth, right? You can see it right there. So again, this is a 2-hour window, and you can see this is where we shut the plant off, and then we went back into Ddc mode or floating head pressure mode. There's your nice, fine, consistent line, maintaining 130 to 140 psi, and our amperage is steady as well. So compressor's not working as hard, keeping the amperage down, keeping the head pressure at a certain pressure, and that explains your floating head pressure.
Jason was going to touch on the run hour decrease. He never got to that in the video. But I think, Steve, you've gone down maybe 800 compressor run hours per compressor this year, from this year to last year. When we did the video, we did the math, and I think when we did 812, yeah. So guys, not only are you getting the energy savings, you're getting also the decrease in run hours, which is going to change your maintenance year to year. So go to the next slide for a sec. Steve also received $8,378 to do this controller. It's been approved by the OPA. They've approved our controller. They said it will save energy. The engineers have put a stamp on it. And to date, all of the applications that we submitted, we've gotten pre-approval for the amounts we apply for. The other thing I want to add is not only is he getting the $8,000 right up front, basically 3 or 4 months after he installed it, he's also saving 80,000 kilowatt hours a year. Times that by 10 cents, that's about 8,000, 9,000, depending on the kilowatt, how much you're charged. Other than that, guys, I mean, to date, we made this product, sold first in September last year. I think we've, Justin, we're up around 20 now sold to date, 20 in Ontario to date, and the orders are coming in. We have a lot of people have it in their budgets for this year or next year.
My name's Earl Moore, City of Brockville. I'm the Arena and Facility Supervisor for the city. I have 2 facilities and 12 city buildings I'm responsible for, but this has been a great day. It's money well worth coming here to participate at this innovation program with Simcoe. I look forward to next year and with fresh topics that interest the staff who are trying to maintain facilities. Should prove for another great year.